What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM. Sorry in advance for the late upload. It's been a busy week. We had ASL all this week and had to do some family stuff going into this weekend. So we are back here on Sunday. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, and we're getting ready for the ASL once again. The second part of the round of 24 is going to be very exciting. But before we get to that, we're going to be doing this week of ASL, and oh boy, we've got quite a lineup again, a very strong Zerg lineup.
Oh yeah, and Sulky is right out the gate. Just so you know, in Korean they were talking a little bit in the lobby. Tyson literally saying, "I'm scared, wow," and Sulky laughing about it. So yeah, Tyson not feeling too good about this first game against the current reigning champion. 4 times in a row this guy has been winning that ASL championship. It's been a real treat casting that with you. Saying this week we'll be back to bring you more of those games from Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will be our casting times. And I mean, I'm so happy we also got effort in the Zerg lineup, really, and light. Royal Sharp in the Terran lineup. I mean, I'm not feeling super hot about the Protoss. I mean, Motive's okay. Bisu is playing pretty good right now, but this Zerg and Terran squad look monstrous.
Yeah, the Zergs were being given a very high win percentage this week, but we got Light in here. We got Bisu. I mean, there's some strong players. Sharp Royal is pretty darn good in the Terran lineup. I think the only area that we're really lacking is, again, Protoss. Tyson Motive, probably not going to be able to show up here, but we'll have to see. Maybe they can come out strong. Motive occasionally does well here in the KCM.
Yeah, I mean, and Tyson literally saying that he's scared. I mean, that doesn't necessarily bode well for his mental game against the likes of Sulky. I mean, it's one thing outplaying him mechanically and strategically speaking, but yeah, your mind game needs to be there, and already actually getting some good blocking on Sulky's hatcheries. This is something to write home about for Tyson, though. Sulky being active with this drone, giving the Hawk to that probe, bullying it away, and we'll be throwing the hatchery down at the third base just in case the block was continually successful. So it's not going to slow down Sulky too much here, but it's a bit of a win for Tyson. I mean, he's got gateway first in the natural expansion. Having his hatchery at the third base initially rather than the second makes it a little bit more complicated to navigate this early game.
And this probe is reasonably healthy after that initial harassment, so you can continue to move that around and scout out how many lings are going to be made here for Sulky. Has full information about the gateway first build here, and Tyson just going to turn those zealots around, head back home after he's seen this number of lings. It's definitely the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, this is about as good as Tyson could have hoped for initially, I'm sure. Yeah, there goes the probe getting taken down, and a little bit of a skill check from Sulky now in the natural expansion. I'm sure there's a probe and a zealot blocking the ramp. Yes, there is. So, yeah, dotting his I's and crossing his T's is Tyson. He's well aware of this little early skill check from Zergs, and as long as you're not too crazy with how you respond and position your units against this, you won't take too much damage. The main thing also is that Sulky kept a few of his Zerglings back to kill that scouting probe, which means it could be a 973, but I doubt it, because he needs to ideally catch some of these zealots for free if he wants to go straight into Hydras, or it's very hard to stop these zealots putting on pressure and scouting those Hydras coming out the eggs anyway. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy out of Sulky, but it does mean that there was no risk of Tyson getting one of these zealots surrounded by the first 6 lings. So far so good for him.
Looks like he's going to delay the forge until after the cybernetics core that's just gone down in the main base. So Tyson walking a bit of a fine line here. Sulky could, you know, with that gas, go into an immediate speed and pump out a bunch of lings and try to put on, you know, massive pressure here. But no, right on into a 973, it looks like. Adding on that Hydroden now, he will try to put on pressure. This probe, though, this probe could change things. Is he going to be able to get in there and get the scouting information? Oh, the lings are here, but oh, he's just barely going to deny that scout for now.
Yeah, he's just too scared of Sulky's Zerglings to even gamble on trying to slip that through, and it's still unlikely that he would necessarily get it there. He's checking the third base. He's only 3 drones mining, no eggs on the way. That could be a sign that this could be a 973 at this timing, but it's hard to decipher exactly what Sulky's doing. Although Sulky's the kind of guy that if he's doing a macro build, he's very good at squeezing like 1 or 2 extra drones out that these other Zergs aren't so adept at. So it is a little bit suspicious that we don't see 1 or 2 more drones here from Sulky, and he was saving eggs at that third base. So maybe Tyson can start to piece those puzzle pieces together, but it's hard to do that in this situation.
It is tough. Tyson, I mean, he shouldn't move out with his link or with his zealots. Seeing that many links, such a big commitment from Sulky, I think a second cannon is definitely warranted, and it's going to be, you know, in his favor. That's not an extra cannon at this point. You know that Sulky is pretty committed to doing something aggressive here.
Well, the way this is set up with the lots of speedlings initially, it makes me think this is the variant of Hydra Bust where he's not going to get that many Hydras. He just wants enough to pick off this cannon in the wall in, and the Zerglings will do the majority of the heavy lifting here. So yeah, there is a second cannon on the way, but not a third. So if there's just 2 cannons, the Hydras, even if there's only like say 6 or so Hydras, he could potentially just run up to the wall with the Hydras, pick off those 2 cannons, and then the Zerglings will bowl in. I think there's some additional Zerglings to the east of the Zerglings we were seeing on screen there. It'll take a few extra seconds for that Corsair to get into main base and start to identify what is actually happening here, and that's right as the Hydras are almost in position to launch their assault. So we'll have to see how Sulky wants to go about this, but there is a build that you kind of like run up to the wall with just a few Hydras, yeah, like 6 Hydras here to bust the initial cannons, but it looks like Sulky might be thinking against it, just because of how Tyson set up. He's going to try one more time to see if he can get up against his wall, but the third cannon finishing up here should be able to stop this from coming online. There's only like 1 or 2 cannons. You can easily just run up to the wall, pick up the cannons, and the Zerglings do the rest, but in this situation he's going to be relegated to picking up the hatchery, to pick up the gateway.
Yeah, this goes back to what you said before. You kind of have to kill zealots early to make this work against the gateway first, and he wasn't able to do that. Tyson had some excellent scouting. He got the probe out there on the map, saw the extra lings, and knew that he just needed to sit back with these zealots, buy some time here for the cannons to come online, and he's made the pretty much perfect number of cannons. I think he's even going to finish this upgrade as well. He's bought enough time with the zealots. I'm pretty sure that's going to finish it up. Oh my gosh, almost loses the Corsair. You really need to keep this alive, Tyson. You need that additional scouting information. Oh, he doesn't get it. Oh, that's pretty heartbreaking.
He didn't start the +1 for some time. If you remember, he built the core before the forge, so that +1 was ever so slightly delayed. Usually you're starting the upgrade around 5 minutes 10. He probably didn't start that until like 5 minutes 30 or 5 minutes 25 or something. So yeah, a few seconds delayed on that upgrade meant it didn't finish in the end. And I think Sulky even knew that, by the way. I think he mapped out when that forge was thrown down, so he knew how long he had to even kill the forge, so he didn't even like rush picking it off before the gateway. You know, like he was very calm about knowing there's no way this grade is finishing in time. So yeah, it seems like Sulky's really mapped this out. And like most Hydra busts, you can either, you know, do a delayed Hydra bust and kind of try and take advantage of the fact that they think they're now safe and go in for a delayed tactic here. There's only 1 single additional cannon that has been thrown down by Tyson. So if you can pull like 2 control groups worth of Hydras and you only got like 6 cannons, I mean, you can still bust that as Zerg. So even sometimes 8 cannons isn't enough. So and we might see that here. He killed the Corsair. He doesn't know any additional Hydras were in production, but he has pulled the probes off the line. There is still a decent amount of zealots to buffer. There is a couple of Dark Templars, but about the Corsairs being in high enough number to pick off this Overlord, still these warp blades won't be able to provide too much value in holding the line here. And with just 6 cannons, Sulky could still bust through if he wanted to.
I kind of wish Tyson had just built zealots and gateways here. I know that building the Templar actually gives you a little bit of freed up minerals to add on more gateways, but if he just constantly builds if he just constantly builds zealots, it's so hard to break through with a bust like this. And there's like that one moment right as the High Templar pop out and they just don't have enough energy left where you could really use those extra zealots. Maybe Sulky could bust the front, but that's not going to happen. There's now enough energy. It's done. Storm is done. a Dark Archon here as well as the Spire starts back at home for Sulky. That's definitely going to have enough energy by the time there's a transition available for Mutas, but is Sulky going to follow up with that? And I don't see Tyson really putting on much pressure here. Like, if he just continued with Zealots, maybe he could come out, run out, and try to fight these Hydras, force Sulky to keep making Hydras rather than drones, but Sulky's able to make a lot of workers right now. He's really getting into his economy, and without any of that pressure going on, Sulky's going to get into a massive economy.
Yeah, he's done a good job of kind of faking out Tyson here, making it look like it might be a Hydra all-in, but finally Tyson, realizing that there's nothing to worry about, will have a decent count of Zealots coming onto the map, but not before Sulky's macroed up quite powerfully, and he has got the prerequisite 2 control groups of Hydras already out on the field, ready to start repelling this threat. He needs to kind of use his Sim City in most situations, but since the Templars are relevant, you also kind of need to be mindful of it. You don't want to stay inside your Sim City all game long. If the High Templars come to your door, you're in trouble as Zerg. So Sulky will want to try and be as active as possible with his Hydras out on the map while he still can. Tyson doesn't necessarily have as much of a threat that Sulky needs to worry about for the time being. If he keeps trading off a few Zealots here and there, he'll be in better position. He's a little bit concerned that maybe Tyson can do like a 1-2 hit combo with like some Zealots or GTs coming at his third base, but it's actually just some Zealots here on the left side of the map. I think, is that a dropship going into the main base? Actually, there might be a dropship with DTs or something going into the main base right now.
Oh my gosh, he sends the shuttle too? Oh, that's a little bit rough. Okay, there's actually a High Templar in here, isn't there? Yes, there is, and a storm should go down on the ramp. Ooh, pretty good storm on the ramp there. He does lose the shuttle, though. Nice Scourge coming in to get that connection there from Sulky. And meanwhile, at home, he's going to go ahead and throw down a base. Nice snipe on the High Templar, but this is great play from Tyson. The drop to distract with the Zealots at the front and then taking a third behind it. It's so hard to keep up with all these moves and actually try to deny a base like this.
Yeah, I actually really like this from Tyson. As long as he just holds the line now, getting away with his third base will be crucial in keeping up with the macro engine of Sulky. He's now got a few lurkers out of that. +1 weapon upgrades has finished. Don't forget, Tyson doesn't have as much punching power in his army. It should be 2-1. It's just 1-1 for the time being. Now we'll be connecting with some Psionic Storms onto these units. Lurkers pretty decently spread. He's trying to flank at the north to pick off some of these High Templars. Only when the High Templars go down, there's only just 1 Templar left available to Tyson. Almost 2 storms worth of energy. Seems like some Hydras have been splintered up to go towards this third base to see if they can threaten these cannons as they're in production, but seems like 2 finished up in time to stop that threat from coming online. And now that Tyson's going over to clear out these Hydras attacking that third base, it opens up a little bit of oxygen and room for Sulky to try and get it contained at the rally point location. But Tyson is an Maelstrom coming down on some of those Hydras as well. Good storm combo with that. Tyson fighting back strong here. There's even a threat going into the natural expansion of Sulky. Some Zealots starting to ravage the drone lines while a few of the other brothers hold the line against the reinforcing Hydras. Tyson playing really well in this game.
Tyson is playing the game of his life right here. This is crazy. He actually did that so well, coming up and trading with the Zerg army there. I was a little bit afraid when he lost the Observer immediately, but pulling back and splitting off the Zealots for the counterattack worked out beautifully. And of course, the Maelstrom combo there, hitting a lot of those Hydras and just wiping out that army. Sulky is on the ropes. He can definitely make a comeback, but this is a very hard position for him now. Tyson is in full macro mode here with 3 bases. He's spread his probes out nicely, and he is going to hit just 1 big attack here with these double forges spinning. He's going to have 2-2 shortly, and it's going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, he's almost like 55 supply ahead or something, about 50 or so. It's kind of crazy that Tyson's put himself into such a good position. He's now done a massive Maelstrom combo as well onto those Hydras. High Templar almost in range. Will get that Psionic Storm. All of those Hydras go splat, saying another storm to the east. The Doodad's actually helping split those Hydras against that storm, not taking too much damage against that that follow-up spell, but still in a great position is Tyson, knocking on the gates, forcing Sulky to commit defenders while Zealots run in to the main base to ravage that drone line. Sulky, the champion, taps out against Tyson. What are we even witnessing here in game number 1 in this week of KCM, San?
That's not supposed to happen. Tyson, worried, afraid in the lobby, thinking that he's just going to get absolutely slapped down, holds the Hydra Bust with flying colors, and with the counterattack and splitting off of the army, manages to dismantle Sulky. I mean, what can you even say about that game? This is one of those things, Shun. Anything can happen in a best of 1, and that's exactly what we saw here today. Just shown in spades there. Tyson can beat Sulky in a best of 1. Anything can happen. Well, with the elimination of Sulky, this game really opens up. This week of KCM completely opens up here. Queen and effort in the back pocket for the Zerg squad, but I mean, they are not a guaranteed victory here, and that, what, 60+% win rate that was predicted before the games even started has been completely upset.
Yeah, what was the other percentages again? Do you remember what the Protoss and Terran percentage was?
Oh, it was extremely low. I can look it up here. Just give me a moment. Was 27% Terran, 8% Protoss, 65% Zerg. That's wild. Tyson, like, it's hard to even explain how big of an upset that just was.
I mean, Tyson having the punching power to punch way above his weight class, it seems. We have seen similar things from him in previous seasons of KCM, but not very often. So he always has the potential to do something like that, but we just don't usually see it. But we've talked about it so much in KCM, how literally anything can happen, and you really don't know what to expect. And that's kind of the beauty of this Race War Best of 1 format, that it creates such crazy games like that. And I mean, where else are you going to see a player like Tyson take down someone like Sulky, a back-to-back reigning champion? I mean, what are we even talking about right now? This is absolutely otherworldly.
Yeah, that wasn't on my bingo card, Shun. I wasn't expecting that one at all. Tyson taking down Sulky. I mean, the amount of overall the confidence that brings to a player like this, that he managed to get a win like that. I mean, he's going to carry that with him for the next 3 seasons for sure. Like, this is going to be in the back of his mind whenever he thinks about how strong his opponent is.
Now, one thing I want to consider here is, what does this say about... Ooh, catches the SEV with the probe scout. That doesn't happen too often. Yeah, like, what does that say about Sulky's ASL run here? Like, do we think that maybe he's not in as good of a shape as he should be, or is he hiding his power level a little bit and got eliminated because he was, you know, containing that power too much? Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think he just got smashed by Tyson, or was that because he was holding something back in lieu of his ASL run that's going to be coming online soon in his seed? Or do you think that maybe he's just not in as good of a shape as he should be?
I think he was just a little bit too relaxed in that game. Like, he let the probe get out and scout his lings that were coming. Those lings were meant to completely surround and kill all the zealots so that he could follow up with that bust. But as soon as those lings were scouted by the probe, things really took a turn for the worse there. Tyson was able to adapt. He was able to add on extra cannons, keep the zealots alive, and there wasn't really a good opportunity to bust. And it's just such a bad position when you end up failing the bust like that, and not really getting anything done. Even though he killed the wall, Tyson's position was great, and the follow-up push was fantastic. I mean, there's still options for Sulky, and I think that if he was playing at his absolute A game, possibly he could have brought that one back. Oh my gosh, the body blocks here are insane too. Tyson, wait a second. Maybe it is maybe it is just a bit of an X factor for Tyson. I'm thinking about the way Sulky made, the mistakes that Sulky made, but Tyson playing really darn good today.
Yeah, this is really impressive. Let's talk a little bit more about this game. It was a 12 gas, so no pressure from Sharpie. Sometimes has to go for that 11 gas, but it's a 1 gate into fast robo here after expand for Tyson. But even with just this singular 1 gateway worth of units, putting a lot of pressure onto Sharpie, tried to skip over the bunker to min-max his build order a little bit, and now it's paying the price. The first vulture went down, exceeding the... Oh, he's killing the mines as they're being laid. He does kill these mines. Oh, there's only 1 singular mine now trying to hold the line for Sharpie. He has to stop mining in this natural location now. That's such a big win for Tyson. This is 1 gateway worth of pressure. This is Sharp we're talking about. What is happening today, Sam?
I think that Tyson, I mean, he activated the Kaioken. This guy is going absolutely insane today and smashing through opponents that he absolutely has no business smashing through. Tyson, I mean, Sharp is so incredibly good in these early game situations. He almost never makes mistakes. And he is being completely exploited by Tyson, losing the first vulture and then not having the bunker there, taking a lot of early damage. This is not the Sharp that we expect, but today Tyson is a different player.
Right, and Sharp, he is going for a very quick dropship play. He did start that starport very early on, so we will see a continuation now from Sharp, trying to find some compensation. Maybe Tyson overextends, doesn't even think about this potential dropship play, which should be hitting around about 6 minutes 30 or so. He does seem to have some kind of spotter pylons. Sorry, that's actually, he's going to expand here. He's going to actually expand at the 3. Oh, he's got the probe to spot. He's a genius. Look at this probe. It's just chilling in the air. Oh, please tell me he's not going to move it now. It's the dropship is literally just now coming. He's going to get on top of the tank of the initial expansion. There's a big pickoff from Tyson, but the probe just barely not spotting that dropship coming into his main base. He had 2 Dragoons that could have gone to intercept this, and now he will lose a lot of probe just because of that 1 scouting probe pulled back in time. This dropship was slightly delayed, so he thought that he was safe against the dropship. So the dropship being delayed is actually helping out Sharp a lot right now. Tyson assumed it just wasn't going to be coming after all. Now we'll be paying the price. A lot of probes are falling back at home. Some normalization in the Starcraft world has been reached now with all these probes falling. I don't necessarily think that Sharp is completely out of the woods. He did lose that tank. He did lose a lot of mining time himself in that natural expansion. He needs to actually repair this bunker. There's no tank here to support this. He's only got 2 SCVs to repair as well. He needs to put more SCVs to repair this. This bunker could die.
Yeah, the bunker, I mean, it didn't have Marines in it for such a long time. Sharp went so deep with his tank and Marines. Like, he's almost going to die here. He barely manages to keep this bunker alive. With 4 SCVs repairing that, he will keep it alive, but that was super close. Tyson almost breaking the front again. Seems like he's starting to fall apart a little bit here, though. Now that Sharp has started to put the pressure onto him, and it's not just all one way here. Finally, Sharp gets rid of those Dragoons, and he will be able to save that tank, but he lost a lot of workers to those Dragoons. I'm not sure exactly who lost more, though.
Oh, definitely Tyson lost more, but I mean, I just can't believe that if he'd only kept that scouting probe there for, like, I'm talking seconds longer, he would have seen that dropship, and those 2 rallied Dragoons could have gotten back into the main base in time to shut down too much of that damage from occurring. We've got now a drop from Tyson himself going all the way into the main base. There is no turret coverage here, so this could do a lot of damage potentially. SCV train pulling out. There is a Wraith actually to shut down this shuttle, so that's not too bad. He will be able to cancel this harassment from going down. He's going to lose the shuttle if he's not careful. Interception course cannot be maintained, though he's just barely going to get away with this shuttle, I think, and get the Reaver to safety. Just barely not catching that is Sharp, but I mean, he's losing so many Dragoons that are just going into the natural expansion. While he was distracted with those vultures earlier, he lost like 2 additional Dragoons to the arc light cannon of that tank, just shaving off his units. Now the Reaver's stranded at this 3 o'clock. Sharp turning things around in a big way. Dragoons trying to save this Reaver, but just barely not going to be able to do so. He kills it.
Oh my gosh. Well, he loses both the Wraiths, and the shuttle's still alive, so he can pick up another Reaver. So many weird mistakes back and forth here. I really thought that that Reaver was going to eviscerate the economy, but the Wraith play was pretty ingenious. It's just Sharp didn't keep the Wraiths on top of the shuttle there. He should have been able to kill that and not allow it to escape. It does escape, but he still loses the Reaver. There's just so much going back and forth here.
It's crazy.
It's hard to keep up with it all, but I'm really feeling Tyson's position despite everything that's happened. It's just, this is such a close expansion. If he had taken a base down at bottom center rather than this one, I would say he's got a great spot, but he's going to take this drop damage at the same time as his attack's coming in. No, actually, Sharp's going to turn around after the drop gets off. He's going to turn around and go back home and just keep himself safe for now.
Yeah, he's got a couple of Dragoons that did pop out of the gateways to stop too many Dragoons falling to this harassment, but actually needs to be careful not to bait this mine into... Oh, he lost like 6 or so probes. That's crazy. House got another Reaver inside the natural expansion of Sharp. This game is all over the place. Sharp is definitely ahead, but this is definitely a bit of a nail biter of a game, regardless of who's winning. Absolute chaos, pandemonium on both sides of the field, saying Tyson's still not mining in his natural expansion for some time. I mean, I think this is going to start to really overwhelm Tyson. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with this much longer. There's another possibility of this mine detonating. Oh, the probes!
No way. No way. Tyson loses even more probes to these mine detonations. All right. Now he is very far behind here. So many workers have fallen. It's still potentially possible he could hold this push if he's got the Reaver and shuttle out, but he waited way too long to get an observer into position, and he didn't build the pylon wall over here, so he's going to lose so many more probes as well. This is getting really rough as Sharp takes this high ground and kind of denies the Nexus. I don't think he's going to be able to get up here to stop this anymore. Kind of cool how many Wraiths Sharp made this game, by the way. He's really been keeping up with that because he knows that Tyson needs the Reavers to do good damage for him to come back.
Right, we didn't have the engineering bay for quite some time until recently, so like he needed some kind of anti-air and wanted to keep his factory production going on units other than Goliath. So yeah, it does totally make sense with what he had available to him, maximizing his production output. But I mean, the Kaioken times 10 on Tyson's definitely taking his toll on his body, because he is definitely underperforming now, couldn't quite keep up with the demand, and now is struggling a little bit. There's only one siege tank here in the natural expansion. With that bunker, with all those mines laid there, it'll be still hard for those Dragoons to come in and punish that natural expansion. Sharp killing that natural third of Tyson is now going to be extremely problematic. 2-base Protoss is not good against 2-base Terran unless you were doing something like a tech-heavy play, like a fast Arbiter, and we definitely don't have that from Tyson. So this is not going to go well for our Protoss player anytime soon, unless he gets lucky, catches Sharp out of position with this little contingency here at the 3 o'clock. Sharp knows it as well. That's why he's just setting up shop here, camping up the turret. He wants to make sure that he gets maximum trades with that army no matter what happens, to avoid any comeback potentials with Tyson.
I think Tyson makes 2 shuttles here and just goes for the Bulldog, try to just break the natural. Of course, that army out on the map will be problematic, but if he can get in here on top of the production, maybe there's a hope. I just don't see him, taking another base and trying to make it work. He's going to dive on top. Reaver dropped in the middle here. He's going to get some good damage. No target fire from the tanks onto that Reaver, so it gets 2 shots off. The Dragoon's going to try to run in here now. Let's see if he can kill this mine. Oh, the mine just goes right off on top of these Dragoons. A GG is called. Not quite able to make it work here at the end of the day, but that was a crazy game. Tyson almost had the victory there, but Sharp just keeps it scrappy. He keeps on dropping, and Tyson's not able to keep up with all that multitasking. All right, Tyson has been eliminated, but he certainly earned my respect here today. He lost my respect last ASL with some of those plays, namely playing against
Eclipse.
the light on Eclipse. Yeah, wasn't able to think of him the same way for quite some time, but you know what? This is indicative of a potential comeback. I really like how he played these last 2 games, and I hope we see more of him in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, but speaking about Sharp, he's going to have to pop a Sensu Bean now against Effort. That was an absolute crazy back and forth madness that we saw between him and Tyson just a moment ago. Sharp, though, rising to the top, now facing off against potentially one of the strongest Zergs on the planet, who had some wrist issues, but he's back on form. And I mean, it's no surprise this guy has wrist issues. Keep track of his APM throughout this entirety of this game, especially in Zerg versus Protoss. He's one of those guys that, you know, is between the 400 and 500 mark very often, and sometimes hits that 500 mark more often than not when he's macroing on all cylinders. He really is one of the absolute best mechanical Zergs on the planet, and a really scary contender as well going forward. If he can get through that Zerg group in the ASL, that's going to be really exciting to see him in the round of 16 and what he can bring to the rest of the scene, because he's one of my favorite Zergs of all time, said. I'm just happy to see more of this guy. I'm glad that he's got his wrist under control and screwed on tight.
The alien Zerg here, extraterrestrial levels of aura. He is absolutely insane with his overall win rate against Flash, the highest in the world. I'm sure that if Flash was more active today, maybe Sulky would have a winning record versus him, but Effort, the only player still holding that title, the only player with the winning record versus Flash in Best of Series.
Well, he was the guy that stopped Flash from playing 1-1-1. Like, there was an era where Flash was doing nothing but 1-1-1 plays against Zerg, and Effort was just like, nah, I'm going to go 2-hatch Lings, and I'm going to go Borrow upgrade, and I'm going to absolutely ruin your day. And Flash was like, well, I guess I can't get my 70% win rate with this build order against players like Effort, so I'm going to completely change my meta game. Imagine that. Imagine being so good at the game that you change how the best player plays. I mean, that's Effort.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have him back now, and going up against Sharp here is going to be an exciting match, a real test for him. Sharp has been playing absolutely out of his mind lately in the KCM. That last game I don't think was a great representation of what he's capable of, you know, being a little greedy there and almost going down to Tyson. This guy is super, super strong. And you know, last season he didn't really show that either, had some health problems, but 2 seasons ago this guy was a finalist in the ASL, and I think he's capable of doing that again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who knows? This could be the guy that we see take down Sulky even. Like, he might break through to round of 16 and end up smashing Sulky in a Zerg versus Zerg. Anything is possible to happen, especially when players like this are around. It's super exciting to have players like Effort back in that running. And I think any additional Zerg that's, you know, in the scene puts more of a threat against players like Sulky. Sulky can't really guarantee, you know, best of 7 series wins against Zerg players. Like, he can maybe figure out a way of rarely conceding a series against the Terran and Protoss races. He's a very adept player, but when it comes to ZVZ, it's a totally different way of playing the game. And Sulky actually historically had some issues with that mirror matchup, so maybe that's the way we take down Sulky and get a new champion. Maybe like someone like Effort beats Sulky, and then another player like Best becomes champion. I mean, that's definitely possible to happen.
Or maybe Jaedong. Jaedong could make it happen too.
Yeah.
I mean, back-to-back all kills in the KCM. Jaedong absolutely on form. Unfortunately, we don't have him here today, but still a fantastic lineup for Zerg. I'm really excited to see how he deals with this 4-Rax from Sharp. I mean, the 4-Rax has been such a problem lately. It's so strong on this map. How's Effort going to be able to deal with this? Is he going to go for the Sulky style of building tons of mutas and trying to surround with Lings and mutas, try to kill off that initial army, or does he have something else planned here?
Yeah, it seems like a light style 4X as well. He's not going to be putting on any kind of early game pressure. He's just going to wait for a critical mass of bio to try and threaten a Zerg that's skipped out on Sunkens. And ooh, there's the Burrow upgrade. We were talking a little bit about Burrow upgrade before against Flash, and look at this, he's got Burrow to scout out the movement patterns of that bio coming onto the map as well. This is really interesting. We rarely see something like this from Zerg players. To see Effort going for it here is kind of exciting, that he's got a new take on how to open up against Terran. He's got a drone moving out to expand behind these Mutalisks. He did go for a 2.5 hatch kind of style here in the main base, so definitely optimizing his production and economy. This expansion's a little bit delayed, but it's not too bad either. It will be on curve still, and he will put a little bit of pressure onto the Terran. It's only 6 Mutas. We can't one-shot these SCVs just yet. But he's why is he gonna fly into the what? I'm not sure I agree with this, but Mepha is a little bit risky to go for a play like this. If we had 7 Mutalisks, it would be better just to sit here and defend against these SCVs. I don't know why he went into the main base there. I'm not sure what he was thinking about.
Yeah, that was crazy from Effort. He's even got the Lings out here to see if anything's moving out. He has to know that the Marines are in there,
right?
And so they're not very far to respond to a dive through like that. I was gonna say the burrow's really cool, but it's -1 muta here for the initial mutalist stab, and you can see he had 6 mutas instead of 7. That really limits his power. Yeah, maybe if he skipped Ling speed or something like that. He's not making a lot of Lings. Maybe skip Ling speed, get Burrow instead, so that you can keep track without having that Ling speed, and just make use of the Burrow in other ways. One thing nice about Burrow is that now you don't have to keep switching out mutas. You could just put a burrowed Ling in the control group, and it's infinite micro potential. So you're not going to be losing overlords flying out into the middle of the map here against Sharp, which is very nice. But I really didn't like that dive in from Effort, and it's going to hurt him here. He's going to have to build so many mutas if he wants to overwhelm this group by Sharp now.
Yeah, you got scan from Sharp in the natural, see some Zerglings in production, so he knows that he needs to be careful with this bio. Is he going to expand up it? Is he going to expand? He is going to expand opposite corners of the map. He wants to bait the Terran player out onto the map to commit to attacking one of these bases, and that also might fake out Sharp in thinking that that's the 3rd base timing. Although he should better piece the puzzles together that isn't the case here. I'm not sure if he's actually scanned this bottom left hatchery that just finished up or not, but either way, this is going to be interesting from Effort. It's like he wants to bait the Terran out onto the map to have a higher chance at cleaning up the bio with Mutaling before a critical threshold has been ascertained from the Terran player. Very interesting way of thinking about the game here from Effort. Currently macroing on 500 APM. Needs to be careful, though, not to overstay his welcome. Pretty good connections, though, catching this reinforcement blob of bio, cutting that in half before they can join forces. So he is taking a little bit of the sting out of the army of Sharp while teching up now. Got the transition on the way. Lurkers morphing. Hive on the way as well. So this is a very interesting take on the matchup, and he's just going to cancel. See, like, he's mind gaming Sharp right now. This is interesting how he's going about this game.
Yeah, this is pretty wild from Effort. Gonna go ahead and cancel that base in top right. I guess it's fine here. I guess it's fine to go ahead and cancel. He's kind of hidden where he wants to expand. Look at this, Sharp going up to top right. He wants to go try and deny that, force the pressure, but Effort's just going to have lurkers on high ground down bottom left, and Sharp really won't have a timing to get in there. Still, this is going to get into a mid game with no damage done to Sharp. He's going to have a lot of economy to work with. So many Marines and potentially a lot of drop ships to try and pull this Effort 3 base economy apart.
Look at this. He shows the Mutalisks in their natural because he knows that will trigger the Marines to go and kill the hatchery in the top right, further putting them out of position. And then he's going to swing around into the natural, pick off a turret or 2, and also then threaten the SCVs while dancing around inside the main base. And I mean, he could even potentially catch like a vessel popping out. I don't think that'll actually come to pass, but I like the ideas here from Effort. I think he's got some work to do in terms of optimizing how he's executing this. But the thought thought process behind it is really cerebral, and I do appreciate it. Like he's running circles around Sharp in the mental game here. He's still lacking a little bit in the execution, but I think this is phenomenal levels of metagame thinking from our Zerg player.
He's definitely playing unorthodox, that's for sure, and Sharp is trying to figure out exactly what's going on here. I'm not sure that this puts Sharp in necessarily a bad position, considering he's got everything he needs now with the vessels out here and the big count of Marines moving forward. He can definitely put on a lot of pressure here with irradiates and potentially come in with drops as well. You can see Effort skirting the outside of this base, maybe looking for an opportunity to shut down an expansion, and he will catch this SCV over here. Pretty nice job with these mutas, but he's going to start to take some damage. Will he have the Nidus connected in time? I think he should. Yeah, just gonna have that here with some lurkers running forward. He should be able to hold this ramp.
Yeah, he's gonna have some additional lurkers showing up now. Sharp really wanted to get up onto that ledge, gonna be shut down and denied doing so. Effort not bothering to stack his lurkers. There is technically a chance of breaking through that with a radiant, but that many lurkers there, it's probably not going to come to pass at all. And he's got a decent amount of sunkens and lurkers at his naturals. There's not really a good point of attack here for Sharp unless he had some drop ships to elevator into the main base or something like that. And he has got a couple of Mutalisks out on the map to act as anti-drop defense, as well as some Scourge down here in the bottom left. So pretty much Effort has all the tools that he needs going forward in this game. He's got a pretty healthy supply of over 100 now as well. I mean, the Zerg is pretty good as long as they've got like 60, 70 supplies. So having a healthy count of 100 is a great sign that he's not only holding his own, but he's actually booming a little bit here, and could potentially run away with this game if he can get this fourth gas stabilized and mining within the next couple of minutes. That's going to be great. We have those drop ships now coming out from Sharp, as well as some fire bats to help fight underneath those dark swarms. Can he get some damage onto Effort that he so desperately needs?
Well, it's not too bad here for Sharp, right? He got all the value out of these vessels so far. He's been spending the irradiate as soon as he has the energy, killing off primarily lurkers. So he's killed a lot of lurkers. He's forced Effort to replace those. And I mean, he is going to go for these dropships. I actually wouldn't mind him just continuously building vessels if Effort wants to play like this, not splitting or not stacking his lurkers and you know, putting an overlord over top. You can just kill so many lurkers that it makes it really hard for the Zerg player to hang on and actually, you know, have a late game economy where they have a bank of gas that can suddenly make some ultras and, you know, do anything with that. So I mean, I don't think that Sharp is really taking advantage well of what's going on. Oh, that's a great plague as well. And he's going to see that 4 dropships there moving through the middle of the map. This is actually fantastic for Effort. Spotting this could be 4 more vessels here. 4 more radiates could actually break this bottom. I don't think 4 drops is going to do the trick.
Yeah, I mean, I have to slightly disagree with you. I just don't think Sharp's position is that good overall. I think the Hydra Defiler transition will be good. If he can get something done with these 4 dropships, it'd be a different story, but he's going to catch one of them and has got some Hydras with a Defiler here. As long as he doesn't lose too many drones, too many units to this drop, it's not going to be a big deal. He's even got a sunken colony down here to buffer. That's really interesting. The way he's playing this game is super unusual. Has lost a few of the drones to that dropship. I have to say, I don't agree entirely about Sharp's position. I think that if he does just maintain Science Vessel production, that's hoping that the Zerg is going to make mistakes and, you know, not have the like 24/7 Defiler production and stuff like that, and eventually will run away with the game with the 4 gases. And the Hydra Defiler is just way too cost efficient for Terran on 3 bases to pay off. He needs to double expand into a fast 4th gas to have some hope here. And even getting a Defiler down to this natural 3rd location to put on the pressure is insane. Looks like a good opportunity though from Sharp to try and get in it while he still can. Dark Swarm not quite in time time. 2 Firebats could help to do the heavy lifting underneath that Dark Swarm to break through his position. He does kill both of those lurkers. Look at Sharp go, saying somehow he's making it work. A little bit of a chink in the armor of the Zerg player, and all of a sudden he's in a world of hurt. Target firing down that Nidus Canal. Some Hydras do pop out to try and save the day. There's also the fact that counter attack going on at the natural third of Sharp. This game is insane, but he does kill the hatchery and starts to retreat from that position. So the Terran player has some counterplay now in this game, shutting down that fort. But look at the supplies. The Zerg still in full-on macro mode, and with the Hydra Defiler style, 3 bases is more than enough.
Yeah, wow, I wasn't expecting the Hydra Defiler from Effort, but it's working out fantastic. He's actually pushing across the map with a higher supply now. Tanks are starting to come out, but there's not a good way for Sharp to shut down a Defiler that might be coming up here. Now, there is indeed a Defiler to the north, so as long as he angles this correctly, comes in with the Defiler, he can start to break this base, and there's not too much that Sharp can do about it. There isn't a lurker here, so, I mean, oh, the Firebat's getting under, though. Oh, go under the Dark Swarm. No, he messes up with the Firebat. Oh, man, that really sucks for Sharp there, but he does push everything back here with the additional tanks popping out. It's really funny when you see a Firebat get under that Dark Swarm against Hydra Defiler. It's so hard to deal with unless you have a lurker to help out.
Right, I mean, it looks like Sharp, you know, he's doing okay so far. He's got a prerequisite of tanks to hold this third base, and he's done the smart thing of putting these factories out in the front line to have a stronger reinforcement line. He can just keep those tanks pooling at that natural third, both defending the base there and also their production line at the same time. Beautiful Plague, though, coming out from Effort, fighting back strong in this game. It's an absolute fantastic CVT we've got to kick things off in our third match of the evening here. Sharp taking the 4th base at the 6 o'clock, which means he needs to stay active out on the map, or Effort will be able to shut that down. So, I mean, this is a bit of a gambit here from Sharp. He's thinking, hopefully, we've got a lot of forces from Effort in this top right, like he wants to expand up here as well. He's taking the natural third in the northwest quadrant as well. Looks like he wants to start setting up bases all over the place and overrun Sharp with his superior mechanics. We'll see if that comes to pass or not. So far, Sharp's done a pretty good job of holding a line against the alien Zerg, but let's see if that's going to be a tenable position for him or not.
Drops coming in through to this natural. Can he get some more damage going here? That Nidus is pretty low. Oh, some Scourge already. Looks like he does target down one of those drops. The rest of the units are going to get out here, but there's already a Dark Swarm and some lurkers. It's so hard to get damage with drops against a Hydra Defiler player. As long as they have their units in position, you're going to just lose so quickly to that Plague and Dark Swarm, and all the range damage here is going to completely shut down drops behind the mineral patches. Moving forward with tanks right now is a little bit crazy, but Firebat's under the Dark Swarm. Can he get forward just a little bit further? He does, but the Firebat dies to the tank splash, and here comes a Plague on top of some of these tanks. He cannot be losing tanks right now. Sharp needs this 4th base, and he needs to hold on to this tank number, but they are starting to go down here. 2-3 tanks fall, and that really cuts into his overall firepower. Effort has started to recover from the loss of that 3rd base. He's a little bit on the edge here, but he is starting to pump out a lot more units, and evening out that supply is a pretty good position. Oh, he loses the Defiler, though. I don't know if he can push this without Dark Swarm.
Yeah, he kind of needs Dark, and even under Dark Swarm, a lot of these Hydras can still bite the dust of those Arclight Shock Cannon. Sharp knows that Effort's playing a tug of war here in the center of the map, and he needs to be proactive and push Effort back as far as he can to these rally point locations. These lurker eggs out on the map are actually to delay the Terran's advance so that he's got less room to make up as he pushes Sharp back, so he can try and get on top of this 6 o'clock base position. Sharp knows it. That's why he's been so active with these tanks, bringing them to bear before they've reached a critical threshold. They are doing a pretty good job of holding the line. Some good Plagues and Dark Swarms, though, starting to fight the Terran back. He needs to avoid losing any more tanks. He can't afford to keep bleeding tanks in this game. So far, he's doing a great job, though, of pushing Effort back in this game. But look at the supplies. Effort actually starting to eclipse him now. He's got 5 bases operational. That's 5 gas available to him. Ultralisk Cavern is done as well to get some heavy tank tanking units, and these units that were relegated to just chilling up here in the top right now can be brought to bear to shut down additional bases from Sharp and cause a few fires for him to put out and distract him while he's trying to set up this forward line.
He's gonna come forward with some irradiates. Ooh, nice shutdown there on one of those. We'll be able to get the second irradiate here as well. So 2 defilers end up going down. That's going to really hurt efforts options here, but with a 5th gas online, oh my gosh, he's got so much income to work with. Another vessel goes down. These tanks are so far out on the map, and Effort has a nearly maxed army to try and surround this. I don't think this small tank force can deal with a maxed army, Shun.
No, I think he's playing games with Sharp right now, giving him hope that he can go the distance, but he's playing the long game. He wants to put a lot of this Terran army out of position to open up the opportunity for counterattacks like this. There's just 5 tanks desperately trying to hold the line. Another one pops out of the production facility, but is it going to be enough to hold on against this? There's actually not a defiler just yet to keep this attack alive, so he will be able to clean this up pretty cost efficiently, but he did lose a couple of tanks and distracting Sharp from setting up more forces to come and help out at the front line. Effort still maintaining a pretty healthy supply in this game, trying to get on top of these tanks slowly but surely with Zerglings under Dark Storm. He hasn't yet got any Ultralisks out on the field. He wants to thin out the tanks before that becomes an eventuality. Look at this though, Sharp has a chance of knocking out this natural third in the top left, pushing Effort back down onto 4 gases would be critical. He's just setting up to snipe this gas at the moment. He's not even worried about killing the hatchery. He just wants to limit the gas income by 300 a minute for our Zerg player. Finally, we see some Ultralisk plus 5 armor on those, but no +1 damage for the Kaiser Blades to easily 2-shot slice through these Marines. So actually, the Ultralisk won't be as heavy hitting against the Marines, but will slice through these tanks like butter still. Massive plagues coming online at the 6 o'clock, hitting tanks and Marines alike. Effort wanting to run it down at this 6 o'clock position while the majority of that artillery is located at his natural third, trying to limit his gas income.
Yeah, this 5th base might actually go down. Dude, Effort deciding to attack bottom center, was that a mistake? He's bringing forward some more Ultras here to potentially break this, but Ultras going down in small numbers all over the place? Okay, there's not enough here to actually hold back these Ultras from getting on top of the tanks. I think he's just barely got enough at each location to shove Sharp back, and things suddenly take a huge turn as he gets on top of that army.
Yeah, I think this is Effort's game plan from all the start, saying like just playing a tug of war with Sharp, forcing him to come out of position, and just when Effort feels like he's got all of his production into full swing, he's going to start overwhelming all of the positions at once and force a chain of losses for Sharp to have to contend with. And like dominoes, the positions of Sharp have started to fall, and he's got all the way pushed back to nearly where his rally point is. He's got a decent amount of tanks still in this standing army though to fight back against these Ultralists. Only +1 attack upgrades for the time being on there, but he's losing some of his gas income critically at this natural 4th base here at the 6 o'clock. Some reinforcements also for Effort coming into this 3rd base pocket to be a little bit annoying here as much as possible. Again, trying to distract Sharp on a few different fronts. Seems like Sharp wants to come out onto the center of the board. He hasn't got that many tanks here though. These tanks are really at risk of being overrun, saying I think it's a big mistake from Sharp. He's playing into Effort's hands just a little bit and is getting caught with his pants down. All of those tanks will be gobbled up. He has to initiate an evacuation order at the 6 o'clock. He just taps out. He realizes that the alien Zerg is too much to handle. The Xenomorph has grown too far in number and he has been overrun, saying, I mean, what are we even watching? That was a very unique take on the Zerg versus Terran matchup. Gets the clapper from KCM. That was some genius level strategizing and thinking there from Effort from start to finish. He didn't necessarily have the best execution with those Mutalisk forces, but his game plan was second to none there.
All right, Effort will move on, and deservingly so. Put up an excellent fight there versus Sharp, even after things went a little bit disastrously. with his initial Mutalisk. He pulled together a pretty awesome game. That was definitely a memorable one. This might be something that we see from Effort in the future, and it'll go back to this game in KCM where he really changed up the style and kind of invented something new for Zergs to deal with Terran.
Right, and I mean, maybe he's also wanting to like showcase what he can do in preparation for the ASL. Like some of these guys like to hide their power level until the ASL is fully underway, but maybe Effort's trying to do the opposite here and kind of establish dominance and be like, no, I'm not going to be pushed around this ASL. I'm coming out swinging hard, and he's going to be flying fast like a sweet chariot in the sky as he blazes new ways of thinking, new trails of thought for these guys to start to think and worry about. I mean, can you imagine being a Terran that's going up against Effort in ASL, and those are the kinds of games you've got to study? You'd be wondering, what is this guy even going to do against me?
Yeah, for those of you guys who are wondering what we're talking about here, it's just not at all normal Zerg play to throw down bases at the opposite corners of the map, like what Effort did there, and then just kind of bait and dive the main and then go into, you know, Crazy Zerg, or not Crazy Zerg, excuse me, Hydralisk Defiler with the base on high ground like that. Like, he just totally did his own thing and really surprised Sharp and myself, and I think Shun as well. Just the way that he decided to maneuver that game was very interesting. And look at this, he's stealing the minerals on motive side of the map and building a lot of lings here to start attacking. You know what? This is crazy. This is big brain stuff from Effort. He's making a bunch of lings here, and you know what our motive is supposed to do is defend with a zealot and probe on the ramp. You can't do that here. This is a huge ramp without those mineral patches available.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's actually pulling the trigger on doing this. I think he's like mind gaming motive into, oh, I'm gonna absolutely destroy you right now with Zerglings. I think he's actually making like just the bare minimal amount of Zerglings. He might do a follow-up 3-hatch all-in ling, but I don't think he's gonna like do like a really early ling play here. Oh, he actually catches the zealot. Can't get into the main base with that. Needs to run back to the back of the mineral lines to keep that in safety. Good drill of probes in the main base, shutting down one of those two Zerglings that did get in there. He is going to kill that probe and zealot combo in his own natural though, so no scouting information for motive to operate from. Now we could see the ling flood come out from Effort. He's even got these zealots distracted in the main base, chasing down this one single, no way, he's actually going to start to kill probes with that one single Zergling as well. Absolute insanity. But yeah, Effort has got some big brain plays here today, saying he's showing new ways of thinking, and that's always nice to see in the Starcraft scene. When you've got a guy that's thinking this much outside of the box, it forces the rest of the scene to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even really have to build a lot of lings with this style of play. If he just steals the mineral patches, then sending 2 lings only, you can't block it. You can't stop 2 lings from getting into your main. And look at this, he's going to split off 2 more lings, goes back into the main again. Motive has already lost a ton of mining time, and he's going to lose much more than that with these lings running around. Could be speed coming up here in a moment from Effort as well. 3 more lings going to run into the main, and Motive is being pulled limb from limb, dude. This is so hard to deal with. I think he's just maybe going to counterattack with some of these zealots. He's kind of falling apart right now.
It's scary what Effort's able to do. I mean, like I said, he hasn't got necessarily the best execution right now, so you're seeing a little bit of like, you know, lings dying maybe when they shouldn't and stuff like that, but this is really great forward thinking from Effort. Like, it's similar to chess, you know, you don't just think one move ahead of your opponent, you think a few moves ahead. Motive has got a zealot coming up this natural third, but there's already some Zerglings on the way to intercept that, killing more probes in the main base as well. I mean, if he can tidy up his execution ever so slightly, like his micro, his task switching, if that gets a little bit cleaner here, that's going to make him into potentially one of the strongest players on the scene. This is insane what we're seeing from our Zerg player here. I mean, I expected big things from him, Sam, but he's giving me inspiration and hope that we're going to be seeing even more meta shifts in StarCraft before long, and forcing new ways of approaching these newer maps.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlike chess, you've got these new maps that completely or allow for these big shifts in strategy. The players who are smart enough to abuse the maps first and figure out ways of playing here that's going to kind of change those matchups are the ones that can excel. I'm kind of surprised to see Effort pull something like that out in the KCM, though. That's like a move where you pull that out in ASL and win a game, you look like an absolute genius, and it could actually get you through a difficult group if you've got a very hard, you know, Protoss player that you're trying to deal with here on this map.
A lot of people are sleeping on Effort. They don't realize just how good this guy is. Just to put into perspective, guys, he's one of the only Zerg players in the entire world that's gotten a consistent win record against all 3 races. He's sitting at around about 60 or more % against all 3 matchups. I can't even tell you how hard that is to do, not only as a Zerg race, but in the pro scene in general. Usually there's like, you know, 1 or 2 matchups you're pretty good at, and there's a 3rd matchup you kind of struggle with. Not really the case for Effort. He's pretty darn good in all 3, and I mean, he might be the guy to look out for in the ASL if he can break through that all Zerg group. I mean, I'm going to be doing mental backflips saying, because it's going to be a lot of excitement watching him play.
Ooh, another run by here. Gonna dive on top of the cannon. Good block, though, from Motive for the most part. Will shut that down. Looks like the cannon just barely dies, but every single Ling does end up falling. Oh, the follow-up with Mutas is crazy. He's gonna have so many Scourge coming this way as well. It's just gonna have to be an all-out counter from Motive, because he could lose this natural very easily.
I mean, the ways of approaching this matchup, it's inspiring, saying. Like, look at this that we're seeing right now. This is like some of the best Zerg versus Protoss thought process we've seen in a long time. He can't even get these cannons online in time. Everything is just so perfect from Effort. This guy is just... the alien Zerg doesn't seem to be doing it justice right now. He's got a Sunken away. There are some Zealots now coming into natural expansion. He has to worry about Sunken just barely morphing in time. Beautiful block as well on those Zealots. Look at the drilling from Effort, denying value from those efforts. He's wiping out this entire Zealot force like it wasn't even here to begin with. He's lost a little bit of mining time, but that's just about it. There's 3 Corsairs. GG, Motive taps out. Effort could be going on an absolute warpath tonight, saying he's got just Light and Royal to worry about in the Terran squad, and only Bisu to worry about in the Protoss squad. But for now, he's only thinking about that Light or Royal, which will be coming up next, saying I'm super excited to see more from this guy.
Well, you know that everybody on the Protoss and Terran squads were thinking, you know, Sulky was going to be the danger here tonight, but Effort is showing up in such an incredible fashion. It's kind of mind-blowing that players like this, strong players like this, are still popping up and coming back into the scene. Like, there's monsters lurking out there. There's lions and tigers and bears that are kind of in the periphery, in the ether, that could be coming back here and making a huge splash, and Effort's definitely one of them.
I just want to point out like how good this guy was back in the day. Like in like 2009, there was a stretch where in the Winners League, Pro League days, like he went 25 wins and 3 losses, and that includes games off of Jadong and Flash. 25 wins and 3 losses in a Pro League setting, and including wins against the best players in the world like Flash and Jadong. What more can you say about this guy? He's pretty good.
He's pretty darn good indeed. Looks like Royal gonna be trying a bit of a 1-1-1 against him here. Now, I would be interested to see Royal go for something like a fast vulture build with speed, try to hop over those back patches and, you know, get into the main base right as the Effort is kind of morphing those mutas and sending them out. He sees the gas and doesn't reveal the Overlord as well. So Effort has so much information here Gonna be very hard. Oh, well, Royal can't even punish that Overlord anyway. He doesn't have a Marine. He's floating his racks here. He's really trying to optimize his build at the present time.
I feel like a child again watching Effort play. I feel like I'm a kid sitting on Santa's lap telling him what I want for Christmas, and Effort's like, oh, don't worry, Sean, I'll give that to you during the ASL. I'm really curious what we're going to be seeing from this guy in the near future. I'm just happy to be casting his games here and now, though, in the KCM. There's a fast starport coming out from Royal. This is such an interesting map, Litmus, saying, like, it's kind of like a Frankenstein of multiple different maps like Neo Dark Origin, also a little bit like Blitz X or Blitz Y, way of how the map is structured, even a little bit of butter in a way. It's kind of strange how many different like thought processes of maps have come together into one, and I think Litmus is a great name for it. It does kind of seem like a test, like a litmus test to see, how acidic or alkaline the strategies and way of approaching the game these players have. And it does seem like Effort has skipped over this initial safety den to go for straight into Spire play, which is actually playing into Royal's hands a little bit with this fast starport. Zerglings are in position to deal with this. Doesn't get the hop over anyway. Is going to be shutting that down. And yeah, even with slowlings, you can shut down this vulture play at the appropriate time. Seems like Effort knows all of the tricks and shenanigans here. He's got some Sim City set up in the natural expansion with that macro hatchery, but that Wraith will get some damage done without any Hydras on the way. They will at least kill an Overlord, maybe a drone, and that will be something for Royal to work with.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see more kills with this Wraith. He did find the... Or he is going to get this Overlord over here.
Right.
I thought the Wraith went... Or the Overlord on this side of the map went down a little earlier. He's actually going to go into Vessel. And...
That's unusual.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead for this run by. This is... Yeah, this is the follow-up that I was expecting. If you can't get over that back wall, go for the speed. Just do the run by. It's unfortunate for Effort he didn't block this. But, I mean, he really should have gotten some sort of burrow if he wasn't going to go for an early Hydralisk stun. He's losing so many drones. All right, this might be it. You can't skip over everything here, Effort. Good defense of the early back, like the back area there, shutting down that jump over, but you've got to expect the follow-up speed build. Like, he's definitely going to go for that.
Is that just a mistake from Effort? Did he not realize that the hatchery wasn't blocking the vultures from being able to run in like that? I mean, he was so underprepared that it made me think that maybe he's not aware that the vulture can still slip through between the hatchery and the wall there, but I doubt it. Surely he must have contemplated that possibility. I'm not quite sure what went on there. He will catch this one Wraith out on the map, and this is still a one-base Terran we have to identify, so not necessarily completely out of this game, but certainly a big mountain now for him to begin assailing to put himself into a more comfortable position. And those vessels do put that Mutalisk force on a bit of a clock. Some more vultures coming in as well, going to slip by that hatchery yet again and get all the way into the main base. One of them on red HP, but a lot of drones could go down now. Royal's going to be targeting those as quickly as possible. Good drone drill to catch one of the vultures as the Mutas swoop in to kill the other vulture, but did lose a couple of drones there still. So finding some value with those vulture units that would otherwise be more or less useless, despite maybe slowing down an additional mining base being set up by Effort. But he's on such low minerals that he probably won't even be able to afford a third base anytime soon. So definitely worthwhile to trade off those vultures for drones.
This is a kind of a funny follow-up from Royal, getting the second gas right now. I mean, he was mining with 3... okay, here we go. Yeah, there's the irradiate. Oh, the pull is a little bit rough. There's the mechanics we were talking about there. A little bit lackluster from Effort, that response, but back at home making a lot of drones here to try and make up for the difficult the early game here, the damage that was dealt by Royal initially, more Scourge being made. Maybe he can try to just dive this vessel, just kill 2 vessels and sacrifice all the mutas. That might be the play. He's seen that it's going to be a Marine follow-up. The double gas is crazy. He pulled off one of the SCVs. He actually pulled off 2 initially, but now he's got 3 back on there. It's kind of a wacky build from Royal right now. He's gonna have a lot of vessels though, and he might have a tank push. This is gonna be maybe just a straight up 1 base to follow this up. And so if Effort snipes both the vessels, maybe there's a chance here he can just kind of hold on and stay alive and, you know, get through this kind of early pressure that's coming out of Royal.
Well, usually with 1 base, you can only afford like 4 barracks and 1 starport worth of vessel production, and that's it. But with the double gas in the main, he's been able to afford tanks as well as this vessel production and just 3 barracks worth of marines. So he's gone for a very interesting optimization here. But he's losing so many of these Mutalisks to that Irradiate. I mean, he's in a little bit of trouble now. He needs to transition. Will he be successful in doing so in time? This could be a very technical win here from Royal that Effort really can't do a whole lot about. He lost so many drones initially. He's caught up to that count well, but he hasn't got much else to write home about besides replenishing that drone count. It's still going to be a little bit of time before his whole transition is underway. I'm slightly concerned for Effort now going forward.
Yeah, I'm very concerned for him. It's crazy what Royal's able to do here on 1 base. Litmus. Making those vessels. He's got a radius, he's got tanks, he's got siege mode most likely on the way, and he's getting an upgrade as well for the Marines. That's just so much that you're doing off of 1 base. It's kind of wild to see. But now Royal's going to come across the map. Effort's been spotted here. He needs to completely surprise Royal and just knock out some of these vessels, or he's going to get completely run over.
Yeah, he's only got 3 barracks worth of production to make sure. Oh, he catches one of the vessels. That's something. But I mean, yeah, 3 tanks hitting your door without defilers on the way. I mean, there's a lot of problems for Effort to somehow figure out. He's going to wrap around from behind with some of his forces, see if he can get some kind of hopeful engagement here where he catches the bio and tanks, but it's not going to happen. It's just a little bit too much for Royal to play with. Tries to dive onto those vessels as well. Unsuccessful. Effort in a world of hurt. See if he can go for a run by with these lurkers as a last-ditch effort, but that's not going to pay off for him either. He's in a lot of trouble now, saying he's going to start losing these Sunkens pretty quickly. 3 tanks is like just the right amount of DPS to chew through Sunkens and lurkers alike, that the Zerg really can't maintain a defensive position without that Defiler support.
Yeah, he's just trying to buy a little bit more time for a Defiler here, but so many Irradiates are going down. This is a reasonable attempt here to get behind the army, and he will get another vessel, which is something. More lurkers pop out. How far away is that Defiler? Because if the Defiler gets out here with Consume, he will hold this, and I think he will win this game. But no, he's just not got enough time. Lurkers come forward here trying to take a fight against tanks and Marines, and it's just not going to cut it.
Yeah, after losing those drones, said he's just too far behind in this game to be on curve with his tech timings. If he didn't lose those drones, he probably wouldn't have too much of an effort, pun intended, to get them out. But I mean, it is what it is. You can't expect this guy to win every game he plays. He did put up a phenomenal showing against Motive and Sharp, but he is eliminated now by Royal, evening up things here. The Terran in advantage with 2 players remaining. Light waiting at Royal sides to tap in at a moment's notice. But next up onto the plate, it's gonna be Bisu.
Well, this is a great series so far, Shin. We're actually getting some awesome information about these new maps. Players are really starting to lean in, and you can tell that the practice is paying off. Effort showing us some really good ZVP play on Knockout, and then Litmus dominated by Royal with a very handy 1 base build. That looked pretty difficult to stop. It would have been a bit different though had the Vulture attack not gone perfectly as planned. You know, if there had been Burrow there, things would have been a lot different. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, Bisu going for a gateway on the high ground with a pylon on the low ground. We've seen him do this in the ASL as well. I just want to quickly talk about that last game a little bit. So you used to do one base Terran builds in terms of just straight up SK, where you'd have 4 barracks worth of production pumping, you know, Marines and medics, and you had one single starport producing vessels. But with those double gases in the main base, you can kind of double dip a little bit. Yes, you have to cut away at your barracks production, so we only have 3 barracks worth of infantry being produced, but that means he can squeeze out, you know, a few upgrades and also get some tanks rolling out, and that's really hard to stop. I think you're gonna have to hedge your bets as Zerg on that map, and you know, start to throw down that safety den early on, just so that you've got something to buffer against the initial Wraith, against the initial potential Vulture run bys. I don't think there's an easy way of sim citying that natural expansion to make it impossible for Vultures to find run bys and damage shenanigans from occurring. I'll have to check that out, but I think it's a little bit hard to sim city on that map. I kind of feel bad for it. I guess you could put a drone in between the hatchery and the cliff and hold position an overlord over the top of it. That might be a way of denying that from occurring, but I mean, it's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal. I think Burrow is the right choice whenever you see a build like that. And if you're not going to go for Hydroden, like you said, you could go for Hydroden. That definitely shuts things down, but it takes a lot of larva. You got to build the den, you got to get the upgrades, you got to build the Hydras. You're kind of cutting into your economy in that way. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. And we've got Bisu with this forward gateway trying to get on top of Royal. Pretty good control here on both sides. Quite a few punches go down on these Marines, but no kills yet. Royal taking the better end of the stick as long as he gets a bunker up without losing these Marines. Doesn't really matter if they have a bunch of damage on them here.
Yeah, pretty traditional timing here on this factory. Nothing too crazy from either side. A little bit of extra pressure from Bisu with this forward gateway in the natural to try and see if he can get some runaway damage onto Royal, but Royal doing a great job of holding the line, not having to produce too many Marines, and now that the Vulture's out, you can really start to hold this off. I mean, ideally the Zealot wants to reduce this bio count enough so that the follow-up Dragoon can come in here and challenge the Vulture. Like 3 Marines and a Vulture don't really have to worry about a Dragoon. It's easy for 3 Marines to bully the initial Dragoon, basically. So if you can somehow reduce the bio count a lot, can make the Terran feel a little bit uncomfortable and have to replace some of those infantry units, and that does take a lot of minerals out from their engine as a result. But yeah, Royal kind of getting away with murder a little bit there, not getting punished at all by that forward gateway, and now is mid-max nicely to deal with Bisu going forward.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Royal not get greedy here. A lot of Terran players on Dominator will try to just hold the high ground with the Vulture and 3 Marines, but he did take some damage. It wasn't a perfect hold. And so he is going to have to, you know, have that bunker down. But with the bunker here, none of that early damage really matters, and the Vultures are free. Just roam the map and get the mines down that they need to get that value out here early. And we'll see how Bisu wants to follow this up now that the early game plan hasn't really gone his way.
Yeah, I'm curious. It's going to be 2-gate robo, it seems. The robo was obviously started before that gateway, so it's a little bit tech greedy here, but that's very common now in the current meta between Protoss and Terran. We see so many early robos. It kind of goes back to the early games, days of thinking. Like back in the day, we'd have one base into robo off of a singular gateway to really put the pressure on. But now we've got a much more middle range of way of approaching this matchup. So we get the early economy going with that natural expansion, but then we want to get that robo and observatory out as quickly as possible so that we can get that observer into the main base of the Terran before a turret ring or something like that has been set up to deny vision, so that we can identify exactly what the Terran player is going for here. Is it going to be a 5-factory push? Is it going to be a 3-factory pressure play? It's just so good going for an early observer, generally speaking, against Terran. Getting that information is critical. I mean, at the end of the day, it's nothing like chess in the sense if you can't see the entire board. So if you, any time that you can reveal the board with units like observers in the early game, it's a big win, especially in this matchup in particular, because usually the Terran players have the vision advantage with scan, basically having a map hack ability. So getting an observer in early is a big win for Protoss.
So this might be a bit of a funny thing. Royal placed a mine on top of the ramp, which is a little bit unusual, and we might see Bisu try to clear that without the use of Observer, try to clear that third to try and take his third. We're approaching that 7-minute mark. He didn't send the first Observer over to clear that mine. Really wants to get that early information. Oh, the turret. Oh, the turret. Oh, 1 HP. 1 HP does manage to survive there. That was a sneaky turret. He does wait for the second observer here, so it's going to be 7 minutes, but might be able to get the snipe on this probe. Can he actually get it? Oh, the miss shot there. Ooh, that's rough for Royal.
Yeah, he really wanted to slow that down by a good 30 seconds or so. He catches the probe eventually, but it's not that big a deal now that he's got that Nexus warped in. I mean, okay, so that mine trick that we just saw from Royal with the mine on the ramp, I mean, that there's two ways you can do that. You can have 2 mines there to try and trap the Dragoon so that you get a free Dragoon kill, or you can lay just 1 single mine to just scout for when the Protoss player intends to expand to help time your, your interception and killing that probe with the Vulture. And we saw the latter there, but not quite paying off. Sharp is really good at doing those kinds of tricks where you sneak in with Vultures at the right opportune moment. A lot of these players have got it mapped out in their brain, all those specific timings that Protoss want to go for and when they should, poke in with their Vultures here. And I'd love to see that in StarCraft. Like, everyone is just so good now. Like, back in the day, we didn't used to really see things from pretty much anyone unless it was someone like Flash who had the game a bit more mapped out. But these guys now have almost the same amount of knowledge that Flash did back then, where they've kind of got most of the beats of the game kind of mapped out in their brain already.
Yeah, the finesse of some of these players really shows through these days with the way that we kind of understand the game as well. It's just so much more accessible, kind of learning about Brood War than it was back in those days. Catching some probes here. Might be able to pick off quite a few. 2, 3 probes going down. Not bad at all for Royal. So making up for not being able to slow down this Nexus, getting a little damage. And yeah, what I was going to say there is about replays and their availability throughout the years. It's been super hard to get replays from some of these pro gamers for such a long time that it was extremely tough to figure out how to play this game at a high level. And now with the advent of streaming and replays being so much more available, things have changed a lot, and we're able to see such a high level of StarCraft from such a wide variety of players.
Yeah, it's really been a special here. Doesn't have this shuttle get away with... Oh, the mine does manage to scoop that up in time. That was a little bit dangerous. Oh, actually, he didn't. Wait, he didn't. The Reaver took the damage. That's a big deal. This Reaver is really softened up right now. I mean, Beast in a little bit of trouble. He's going to clear out those 2 turrets to keep, harassment potential online. There's no way he could stay here and kill 4 depots with the splash damage trick, though. He's actually going to try and commit with the shuttle and not really find much for it in the end. But yeah, talking a little bit about what you were, as to what you were saying, it's been really special having such a wider access to StarCraft in general, because, I mean, back in the day, you had not only like hardly any replays, like every pro gamer replay was treated like gold dust because there were so few of them available to the wider public because of how like tight knit the community was, and like they would not share replays between pro gamer house. If you had a friend in another pro gamer house, maybe you could get away with them sending you over some replays privately for your own individual practice, but usually those were not shared hardly ever. And as a result, it's very tight-lipped as well as tight-knit. But you did have these like 240p YouTube videos where it was just really bad codecs and a blurry mess where you couldn't even really read what the numbers on the screen were. So it was really hard to decipher like at what supply are they doing what thing. And you had it took years to piece together some of the ways of thinking that these guys had just from those grainy, awful videos. Nowadays, obviously not the case. Wider access of resources available to you, and it's a real treat for anyone that is currently learning StarCraft. It's now easier more than it ever has been, so enjoy these days, because it didn't used to be like that. We got a 9 factory transition from Royal after getting that mineral only, and this could be shaping up to be a nice PvT zone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that third base came down pretty quickly here for Royal, and he defended the Reaver, no problem. We could see a fourth base coming down relatively soon here as Bisu expands to a fifth. Or yeah, he's got that mineral. Only 5 bases for Bisu. There's the Nexus being thrown down top right as he advances here on the map, looking to potentially dive in with this many shuttles. And the amount of supply he's put together here, I don't think he's got Storm just yet, but there's still a possibility he can break through Royal, and at least... Oh, he's actually going to go for the main. Straight into the main is kind of crazy. Does he have Storm here? Maybe Reavers? Storm? Oh my gosh, huge Storm potential here. Royal, very good dodging, though. Actually keeps most of those SCVs alive, and he didn't pull them to the naturals, so he manages to keep the economy rolling here, more or less, and Bisu really didn't get much damage going.
I think the thought process here from Bisu is he wanted to get these shuttles down to this dead space in the bottom left because he knew that there's a very strong push timing coming from Royal, and he wants to try and distract him and keep some of these forces back at home to defend. But it seems like Royal is going to call his bluff and push out anyway. Bisu could be in a lot of trouble. This is 9 factories worth of production. Usually you go 7 into a 4th base here from Royal, so he really wants to ram it down. It's a bit of a semi all-in attack from Royal, because if it falls completely flat on his face, the Protoss player can run away with the game. But another Storm drop coming down to the natural expansion of Royal catches quite a few of those SCVs, not quite escaping with their lives as easy as before. It's usually the follow-up Storm drops that do the damage, though, because with the Storm dodging that most of these gamers have these days, it just softens up the SCV train to be more easily killed later. Look at this from Royal. This is a great setup, kind of emulating what Light likes to do and exploit their center of the board and the choke points of the geometry of this map. Put a lot of pressure now onto this mineral only at the rally point. Mines on the high ground as well to provide vision. He's going to try and drag some mines into these periphery tanks. Bisu's going to pull the trigger on engaging this now. Lots of Zealot bombs coming out as well as some High Templars. Beautiful Sonic Storms. All those clumped up tanks, though. This could be a very big comeback mechanic for Bisu. So many of those tanks dying. He does tactically withdraw after reducing the count of those siege tanks so much, Sam.
Yeah, he should be able to hit another round of Zealots here. He may have to pull away temporarily from this 4th base. Let that stop mining here for a bit, but as the next round of Zealots comes in, he may indeed just run this over. There's not enough tanks here in the back line, and so he gets right on top of these reinforcements. The tanks on the right-hand side there are still firing away, but they don't have much HP, and so he might be able to just run this down. Another round of Zealots makes its way to the front here. Good retreating here from Royal, getting maximum value out of this Vulture rally, but the tank number is getting so low, I'm really worried if Royal can push the issue here. Is he just going to get completely run over?
It's a shame. If he had just a few more vultures, he actually could have steamrolled Bisu right there, because that was predominantly just a vulture, Zealot-based unit composition from Bisu. With just a handful more vultures, he could have shot that down easily, but there was, just the nice critical threshold that had been reached by Bisu, and 2 Dragoons as well, providing a lot of value, shooting down those vulture bikes, helping out those Zealots do the heavy lifting with their side blades. Now we've got a very interesting position. Bisu could run away with this game. There's a lot of desperation now from Royal. He's trying to transition back into a more orthodox way of playing, taking this 4th base at the 6 o'clock, but he was essentially semi-all-in with that play. He needed to do damage to make this work. It's a 1-1 style, not a fast +2 upgrade like a 2-1 attack timing. He went for a much heavier meat-on-the-bone style with those 9 factories worth of production, trying to run it down as soon as possible and put the pressure onto Bisu, maybe take out this mineral-only mining base, but he's been unsuccessful in doing so. Now trying to transition by expanding horizontally. Bisu will now be the aggressor, sending down some shuttles and Dragoons to clear out the mines here on this southern hemisphere of the map. The mines, though, scouting these dropships in position so we can intercept that from occurring and punishing these mineral lines too heavily.
It's a shame that Royal didn't spread his tanks a little bit more during that attack. I thought that had a lot of potential. Now he's fully on the back foot here, just sitting and waiting for additional upgrades. He's getting his science facility on the way, but Bisu is putting the pedal down to the floor, pushing in on top of Royal's positions and not letting him sit back on his laurels here and just waiting for those upgrades. Here comes Reavers in the midst as well. That's a lot of vultures to screen the Zealots, but he's getting on top of things now, and he's going to get some storms in this back line. No target fire onto these High Templar, and yeah, some of these storms are going to deal huge damage. He does drop pretty heavily in the supply, but the next round of units from Bisu may be able to crack this base.
Yeah, luckily Royal had some units in good enough positions to stop this from overwhelming him earlier, but I don't know, man. Like, the game could still slip through Royal's fingers now. He didn't really do enough damage with his timing attack, that now Bisu has a lot of leeway to keep this aggression going. Just running, you look at slugged out Reaver and some High Templars just casually strolling into aisle 5 here, wiping out some of the units that were left in remnants there, and catching some of these SCVs in transit as well. Shutting down the mining at this 6 o'clock base is super annoying for Royal. He's way more dried up in the economy curve of this game, relatively speaking, compared to Bisu. He has still got a good game plan in store for Bisu if he can get off the ground, but it's going to take a little bit of time for his rocket boosters to pick up enough force to get that escape trajectory and escape velocity rather that he needs. So Bisu in a pretty commanding position for the time being.
Royal in survival mode here, but he will be getting that +2 coming up soon. Bisu yet to take center right, yet to take that other main base, so he doesn't have a solid future in this game just yet. And if he just continues to ram it down, trying to destroy this 6 o'clock without taking the bases here on the right hand side, then he might put himself into a bad position. Drop down here at 6 o'clock. Oh my gosh, the storms get insane damage. There's so many SCVs went down. What did I just say, Shin? Completely negate that all, because Bisu just got rid of so many SCVs that he can kind of sit back here for a little bit and wait on putting another base down in the center right. He's got time.
Yeah, a little bit of caster's curse there, but it is what it is, Sam. He has got that +2 weapons now finished up, does Royal, so he has a little bit of hope left for him, but it's going to be so hard for him to split this map in half. And if Protoss does get control over that 3 o'clock position, it's basically game, set, and match for the Terran, unless they can go for a timing attack. This little vulture run by is nice. He's getting a lot of probes with some good target firing here. He needs every little bit of help right now to be able to come back in this game solidly. He needs to snipe some of these High Templars as well. Bisu being on top of his preemptive storm, shutting down that play besides one High Templar falling. But yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a long game in the making for Royal to come back here. It's going to take him a good 15 minutes or so to put this game to bed, but he can still do it. He just needs some good trades to go his way, shutting down some of these attacks from Bisu and denying Bisu from expanding to 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I think Bisu gets this base pretty much 100%. He's gonna, oh my gosh, more storms going down here at 6 o'clock. Our observer having a hard time keeping up with everything. Finally gonna come back in with this shuttle here from bottom left. Did he have anything in that? No. There's nothing there.
It doesn't
That's
seem
fine.
like it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. Maybe he's
trying to bait the pull, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of funny. This game is very unusual as well from Bisu. He's going to try and expand on both sides of the map here. This base will probably not be successful, but this 3 o'clock is the problem. He's setting up the additional rally point now. Look at all those gateways on the mini-map, saying Royal needs to figure out some kind of attack timing to come and shut this down. He needs to start pushing horizontally on this axis of the southern hemisphere here. If he allows Bisu to get away with this base, with that additional rally point, his win condition will start to evaporate in this game.
Well, I mean, Bisu's kind of resting here right now. He was dropping around 200 APM, so not playing at his absolute peak. A great EMP goes down there on some of those High Templar, so that's something for Royal. That Bisu got to be careful not to get too complacent. He's going to drop Zealots and High Templar in the midst of this army, throwing down a few High Temps. Nice CMP, shuts down a lot of this storm damage, but still so many SCVs are going down here, and Bisu maintaining a huge bank. 4,000 minerals is kind of crazy, and Royal's going to counter. Let's see if he can do anything with this, and will Bisu be able to remax quickly enough to shut this army down? Pushing forward, great storm there on the high ground to start.
Yeah, he needs to avoid these massive splash damage spells from completely killing his clumped up tanks. He has got the base now set up in that bottom right pocket. He has got a bit of a window now. He needs to pre-split his tanks like this and put the pressure back onto Bisu right now before he can get fully set up. Defense matrix on that periphery tank as well. This is exactly what Royal needs to do. Let's see how well he can execute it. He needs to really start to lean on Bisu in a big way over at this 3 o'clock position. Lots of High Templars though being morphed and popped into shuttles here in the top left rally point, so he will have a lot of storm spells available to him. If the execution though is good from Royal, he can still make this work. It's going to be really tough to turn this game completely on its head, but he has the puzzle pieces. He just needs to put them together.
I think attacking this army might be a mistake. Bisu thinking about maybe a counter. I mean, there's not a lot at the natural, and there's a clear path on the left-hand side. You could just try to ram it down there. Royal kind of realizing that that might not be the best defended, moving some units around to try and match where Bisu's going, but another storm down here dealing a bunch more damage. 4 more kills for Bisu. Not as much as he would have liked, but here's the follow-up.
I mean, this is just absolutely relentless from Bisu, not getting the best of connections, but any damage is going to start to really rack up here. He's going to launch an assault to this high ground pizza slice, trying to defend his mineral only against Royal. The splitting of tanks, though, is pretty formidable. Can Royal make it work right now? Has that +3 weapons attack just now coming online recently, and these tanks in this position are so annoying for the Protoss. You can hit the gateways from that location, really start to leverage not only the position, but start to come back in this game in a big way. Can Royal? Bisu looking to counterattack, not wanting to attack into this army head on. If he can help it, he's going to wrap around the back of it a little bit. Has got some speed shuttles as well. Going to be diving down into this bottom right pocket, trying to get some follow-up damage onto those SCVs. Yet again, Science Vessel moving into intercept. Can he get an EMP on those Templars in time? Looks like the answer is no, but it doesn't matter. The storm dodging is pretty good from Royal. I really do feel like Royal has a chance of coming back in this game. He's almost done it. He's put most of the puzzle pieces together to complete the picture. He's just a few beats away from going all the way, Sam.
Did Bisu get too complacent in this game? He was killing so many SCVs, but I saw his APM drop right around 200 with about 3,000 minerals in the bank when he was taking the center right. And now he's getting pushed down. He's losing his other rally point. Royal is starting to take control of this game, and the SCV kills are just not really mattering that much anymore here at the 25-minute mark. Bisu's doing a good job defending here on the low ground, but can he put together an army that can actually break this push from Royal? There's so many spread tanks.
Yeah, I'm not sure he can, you know, so I think this setup from Royal is just barely good enough. He has built up a lot of Zealot Templar in this 3 o'clock position for the timing to now go for a 1-2 punch combination, but it's a low ground to high natural transition that he's got to contend with, unlike on most maps. So now that Royal has got a foothold on this high ground, it's going to be so much harder for Bisu to dislodge him. 3 speed shuttles bombing some Zealots now and Templars onto that beautiful storms coming out to connect on the majority of those vultures. He's trying to kill as many of these vultures off as possible to leave these tanks exposed so that the Zealots from the low ground can also come in and do some heavy lifting for him. He might just barely be able to push Royal back here. It's a really nice effort from Bisu to come back onto this high ground and completely smash these Terran siege tank lines. He's still not out of of the woods, though. Royal's got more and more tanks rolling down from his rally point to challenge this. This is going to be a hard task now for Bisu. He lost a lot of those gateways in that 3 o'clock position from the siege tanks on the high ground, laying down artillery fire, Sam.
Geez, still 5,000 minerals in the bank here as Bisu starts that remax. Gonna go for another storm drop, it looks like. Over there at the bottom right, cut into that economy a little bit more here as Royals dropped down to just the 130. We're missing the storm drop here, but it looks like it's gotten some pretty good damage. 10 kills on that one Archon. I mean, I imagine that was from a fight earlier, but still a lot of kills here over at this bottom right, cutting into that economy, and Royal's in desperation mode. He's got to push this center right and get another base online. He's floating a CC, but it's going to go down. Oh my gosh, Royal in shambles here. It looks like Bisu's just about held everything.
He's so close to making it work as well. It's really unfortunate. Like, Bisu's down to just 2 mining bases. The mineral only's mined out, the top right's mined out. He still has 6 o'clock going for a few minutes, and he's got this bottom right pocket. So Royal's actually 2 base right now for the time being, and that's actually a great position to be in. But Bisu has a major bank, so he can make so many zealots to reflood and refill that maxed army supply. He's going to start to overwhelm Royal right now. Speed shuttles coming online, dropping another round of Zealot Templar onto that frontal siege line of Royal, and now that opens up the position for the rest of the forces to break up onto the high ground. Another beautiful storm killing siege tanks and his own shuttles alike here, saying these tanks are pretty exposed in the back line now. He's going to try and run it down and clear up as many of these forces as he can, and that does start to put the nails in the coffin for Royal. Royal was so close to making this work. He almost had all of the puzzle pieces fit into the picture, Sam, but then he realized there was 1 or 2 missing from the box.
Yeah, that bank has never gone below 3,000, I think, for like the past 10 minutes. Bisu here is, yeah, he's just kind of closing this one out. 95 supply, pretty hard for Royal to try and push this center right, and Bisu's going to take another base here. Royal never took center left, and it looks like that's not going to go to anyone this game. It's do or die for Royal to push this center right, and I think it's just about time to die here. Royal pushing forward a little bit further, but of course storms are there to meet him, and Bisu gonna drop this base down in the bottom right again. Nothing here to defend, and so many of these SCVs are incredibly close to death. They are very low, and they're gonna end up going down.
Yeah, a very belated EMP not quite helping out. Just like 4 or so mining SCVs down at that base. 90 supply to 190 of Bisu, more than doubling the supply of the Terran player is Bisu. One last Hail Mary attempt from Royal, trying to ram it down to this natural rally location at the 3 o'clock position. Bisu in hot pursuit with some Zealot Templar goons, some speed shuttles as well showing up. There's a D-Matrix tank. That's not going to matter as the Zealots drag the mines into the last remnants of hope of our Terran player. He's going to have to tap out in just a moment here, saying it's a valiant effort from him. He came so close to coming back in this game, but the Iron Bank stands strong, Seth. His pockets went a little bit too deep. Royal taps out, and there is still hope for the Protoss squad as we have one player remaining apiece between these 3 dugouts, and Queen will be facing off against Bisu. That's coming up next.
Oh my goodness, it's happening, Shun. We've got a PVZ here on Screaming Sea, Queen in bottom left and Bisu in top right. I mean, we have so much to talk about on this map, especially after the first 3 days of ASL. We're not going to spoil anything, but we've seen some things here, Shun. There's been some interesting things revealed about this map for sure.
You never really know what to expect in terms of what the map makers are going to be pulling out of the bag, and how the players approach those maps is always a very interesting thing to see, saying, who knows, because he fired fireworks. In the Protoss versus Zerg matchup on here, I mean, you have to worry about the potential of something like Reaver Ser. Like, usually Reaver Ser doesn't have much showing in the meta because it's hard to guarantee that third base. As long as the Zerg is proactive in shutting down a ninja expansion going up, you can really easily cripple, economically speaking, that Reaver Ser lineup. With islands in play, much harder to accomplish. You have to respect that potential of something like a Ser Reaver based style from the Protoss player, applying a lot of harassment to you, and as well as having an easy access to a third base. You have to be very cautious as Zerg. Seems like Bisu has got a probe here to block the hatchery in the natural as well. He hasn't seen the second overlord. Usually you want to see that second overlord to know it's not going to potentially be a 9-pool, so he's kind of being faked out a little bit here by Queen, thinking that this could be a very quick hatchery. But I don't know, man. Like, it's very interesting because I wonder if this will actually do anything, because the long, look how long the rush distance is with going all the way to the top and then all the way to the right to get your opponent's base. I'm not so sure like going for lots of Zerglings early is really the play here.
Yeah, no, I don't really like this from Queen. 9 pool with the extractor trick. It's meant to punish a greedy Protoss player, but you can see he's down the ramp. Usually that would be bad. Very, very bad. If the Lings are down the ramp before the cannons start, you're in a lot of trouble as the Protoss player. But the rush distance here is kind of unlike any other map, because even like it's longer than even cross map. 2 cannons are about to finish up here. Will they finish in time? Lings on the way. We're gonna learn something today. Either way here, Shun, we're gonna learn something today.
Yeah, the Lings will basically be in on top of the cannons as the first one's about to start morphing. With a good probe block, though, he should still be safe. Does catch a couple of those probes. Gets the target on that cannon, actually, just barely. And this late forge might be punished a little bit, but as you can see, not able to completely cripple the Protoss position as you usually would be able to. And so, I mean, yeah, that's the problem with this map. Some of the builds that you would usually be good counters are only now like soft counters. So, I mean, there is still value to that, though. He killed 1 cannon, killed some probes, forced a lot of lost mining time. So he kind of did pay for the 9 pool, but he didn't, like, you know, just completely smash Bisu like he could have on a normal map.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this paid for itself. It's hard to say. Like, you kill a cannon. The cannon really doesn't slow down the Protoss at all,
right?
He
like 2 or 3 probes, right?
Did he get 3
probes?
A
lot of probes.
I thought he got
like 2 or 3 probes,
2?
and he pulled a lot of probes.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this ends up panning out. Queen, his natural was delayed quite a lot here. The cannon went down quite late. He had to build another pair of Lings just to deal with that pylon. Excuse me, the pylon I meant to say instead of cannon. And so this is an awkward position. I'm not sure who's fully ahead right now. It might end up just being an even game from this point. But yeah, any other map, you're pretty much dead if you're a Protoss in that situation. If you don't scout the main, you don't see the 9 pool coming, and then you're building the cannons after the Lings are already down the ramp, it's just over. But here we're going to have a longer game.
I mean, maybe the thinking here is my third base is so naturally closer to the Protoss player that if I want to go for something like a 9-7-3 without being pressured, I need to open up aggressive, and that's the thought process here. He's gone for early Lings with speed, and now he's transitioning into a Hydra Den. So he wants to defend by attacking, but he does get scouted by this probe from Bisu, so he won't be caught with his pants down out on the map as he moves out with some Zealots. But will he defend against this? Like, he thinks this is just maybe a straight up Link club, but there will be Hydra behind this as well. Oh, he gets in with the Zergling Sand jumping on top of that cannon. The cannon will fall. Now he's in a lot of trouble. Not only will these Zerglings do a lot of damage to Bisu in this moment, but there will be a Hydra-esque follow-up to this. So even if Bisu somehow does stabilize this position, he's going to be probably Hydra busted as a delayed thought. I don't even know if this is going to pay out now for Bisu. He's in a lot of trouble. If Queen can just keep some of these Zerglings alive in the main base, it's going to be so hard for him to afford the cannons necessary to hold the line You can see he's got the probes surrounding the cannons to protect them, which means he's not mining, which means he can't make additional cannons right now. This is crazy from Queen. He's going to completely run it down with a flood of Zerglings, and when it's time, try and squeeze out a few Hydras to save the day and break down that last remnant of hope.
Yeah, I mean, Queen identified this pretty well. He looked at that wall and he was like, I don't think so. That's too many holes. You got a hole at the bottom of the pylon, a hole on top of the pylon, you got a hole over top of the gateway as well, a big one. Getting Lings in there, pretty easy to make that happen, and now Queen is in an absolutely fantastic position. 2 cannons here, but they're not going to last long with this many Lings attacking them. Goes down, 1 cannon dead, and I mean, Beast is going to make a bunch more cannons here behind this, but you're right, Hydras are already here, ready to start bashing down this wall, and even with the high ground advantage, I don't know that Bisu can hang on to this spot.
Yeah, I don't think so either, and the Lings are going to wrap around from behind as well. This is so problematic for Bisu to contend with. He can technically make this work, but it's going to be so hard. It's going to be relying on Queen making a few blunders and Bisu playing absolutely perfectly. He's got more and more cannons warping in right now. Zergling's doing a dance around, coming back into natural. Now he's going to dive on top of the cannons that are morphing in as well, but can he break them all? He's going to kill just that top cannon to open up the position, make sure that he can kill potentially this forge as well as the gateway. He's going to actually jump on these last 2 cannons. The third one's warping in, but it's not in time. He tries to pull the probes desperately, can't do it in time. 2 of the cannons falling. Now he can wrap around on the northern flank, avoid this bottom cannon entirely, and just tactically snipe these warping in cannons as well as the forge. Force Bisu to come to him so he can trade off the probes without even having to kill this bottom cannon, saying.
Oof, well, that's about it, guys. No way to hold on after this position's been open quite like that. You know, you don't expect to have a Hydra bust on this map because of that high ground position, but Bisu left way too many holes open in his natural or in his wall there. Like, that definitely needs to rethink that positioning. the pylon, like, can't you fit the pylon over the doodad there? Am I wrong? Like, you should be able to get a better spot than that. It's gotta be. I'm not a Protoss player, but you've got to be able to tighten that up a little bit, I think.
I think they made it a little bit hard to wall in just because of how good it is to have the high ground against Zerg. So maybe there is some issues to contend with so that, you know, early pulls and pressure timings from Hydra still have validity.
Well, that is very interesting. I'm going to have to go and check that out for myself. Whether there's a better way to wall off on that map for Protoss or not. I just assumed that you could put the pylon above the doodad there and make a pretty reasonable wall. I feel like I've seen it before, but I could be completely wrong. Now we're going to have Queen versus Light cross-map situation here on Pulsar. And before we get into this match, guys, I want to remind you that we're doing the ASL live cast. It's at 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday coming up this week, the 25th, 26th, 27th, and then I think there's going to be a 1-week break for the group selection stage, and then we'll be right back at it with more ASL. So definitely come check that out. It's over at SCTVEN, and the link is down in the description below. So just go check that out and have a great time, guys. Come join us in that live cast. Don't get spoiled for the results because you're right there with the action and enjoying those casts with us as they're happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of that, saying we did start a new Duocaster Patreon page. If you guys do want to support what we do as a duo, you can go over to patreon.com/SayanZun So, you know, SIYANXUN. Just search for that. You'll find a little Duocaster Patreon page if you want to support us both as a duo for what we do at the KCM, ASL, SCSL, and beyond. To be great. All the appreciation, all the support we've got from you guys is greatly appreciated. We've got an 8 racks here coming out from Light. And this will put a bit of pressure onto Queen, but with the cross map saying this won't be nearly as successful as he was hoping for.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit tough for Light. Now, guys, I just wanted to say one more thing about the Patreon. We decided to make that one as well because we are doing so many different casts together now. With the SCSL and the ASL, we're not really making any money off of those casts, so we wanted to give you guys more ways to support the two of us. We are going to be splitting that evenly between us, and going forward, I think that's a great way to support what we do, and I hope we're going to have, you know, more tournaments in that pool for us to cast together as we continue to improve here as casters. We really appreciate your support. Bunker here, gonna take a little bit more damage. Can he actually kill this? Couple more shots, he gets the bunker. That's a huge kill there. Getting rid of that bunker right as Light's arriving with the Marines is really gonna hurt him.
Yeah, he doesn't even catch a drone on the exit. He's got 4 drones that are going to try and intercept the 3rd Marine. Light trying to reinforce that and prevent that eventuality. He's instead maybe going to try and bully back this other Marine that's en route. That's actually turned around to keep it alive. So only 3 Marines to contend with here. Won't have crazy amounts of DPS to actually put the nail in the coffin on this hatchery. He's going to start pulling Zerglings as well. Yeah, with the drones on the outside, you could kill this with, like, say, 10 lings, 4 drones, or you could go all the way up to, say, 12 Zerglings and surround the bunker that way to guarantee there's no hope of the Terran sniping those drones with a lucky RNG on how the Gauss rifles are spread on that bunker. He's going to go for the attack now. He actually unloads the Marines from the bunker so he can try and manually target down some of those drones. I think he only got 1 in the end there before losing all of these Marines. Really well held here from Queen.
Yeah, this is a pretty much perfect hold from Queen. Followed the golden rule. As the 3rd Marine arrives, you can no longer deal with that with the drones. You've got to run by and try to catch the reinforcements. He did it perfectly and waited long enough to get enough lings to just completely overwhelm that. Even brought the lings in first before the drones came into the equation so that no drones would be targeted by the bunker. Good moves from Light to pull those out and try to get a kill there, but didn't really pay off. This whole thing did not really pay off, and it's going to set back Light's timings a lot. Whereas Queen's just got a good number of drones here, and we will be getting into that layer now. Everything looking pretty fantastic for our Zerg player. It's still going to be a hard game, though, against a player the caliber of Light. He can still make a real game out of this middle stage. If he makes it that far, like sticking on 35 workers and just grinding you down with drops and constant irradiates is Light style, and it's not easy to deal with at all.
Yeah, he likes to do that a lot. He's one of these Terrans that does cut his SE reproduction a lot more than the other guys do. Most Terran players are trying to maintain almost a 24/7 worker production, not Light. He cuts those at critical timings to have as maximum production as he can to really run it down and put the pressure onto you with his superior mechanics and way of thinking. Queen now taking a 3rd base on location down in the bottom left. He's comfortable that he's held that attack so well that he doesn't need to make any kind of macro hatcheries or delay taking that. He's gonna get it online right away. He thinks that there's no hope of Light punishing that, and well, he should. Light's in a very awkward position right now where he's basically going to be stuck inside his main base for a while until range is done and those 4 barracks are producing as much as they can to give him some map control.
We'll see if Queen can try to punish here the low count of Marines that Light's going to have as a result of that 8 racks play. His slightly delayed tech as well. Of course, there's always a delay from the Zerg player in a situation like this. You can't get everything online while pulling all the drones and making this many early game lings, but you can see here just past the 6-minute mark, Queen already having mutas on the way. Not much of a slowdown. Maybe there's an opportunity to punish here despite it being cross map.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Queen can contend with also the slightly longer rush distance of getting these Mutalisks up here to threaten Light, who seems to have pretty good turret timing. So there's only one turret, though, in the main base. Also, though, has to wait a few extra seconds for these other two Mutas to show up before these 6 Mutas can go to town on trying to harass that. Light has got his Bioforce in position to cover that slightly softened spot that's south of the CC here until he can get some additional turrets online. I don't think range is quite, range isn't quite finished, so Queen really trying to abuse this lack of range timing for a few seconds while he still can. Light, though, does still manage to kill one of those Mutalisks and drop it out of the sky. So I mean, this isn't terrible here for Terran.
No, he's definitely hanging on strong, and he's going to be able to move out here shortly. The range is going to finish. +1's going to be done. And the 4 racks is a very strong build. Despite the early game losses, he is going to have a pretty decent number of Marines. But he cannot lose this group. Absolutely must not lose this group. He has to stay strong. Keep an active presence or Queen will run away with this game. It's not like a normal game. Like he's taken early damage. And so this group matters more than ever.
Oh, really beautiful scan there from Light. He's going to just preemptively stim and try and catch the Mutalink before it can surprise him. Muta's wrapping around from behind, going to try and intercept those Marines. Beautiful connections from those glaives, shaving off a little bit off the top, just lining Light up here in this game for the future. Queen with a transition on the way as well. Hydra Den going down at the 3rd base to obfuscate that point of transition so that if Light was to scan the main, you wouldn't necessarily see the den and miscalculate that maybe this is a Mutalisk all in or something. It's getting on top of the turrets on the production line of the barracks as well. That puts Light in an awkward position. He's going to lose a lot of Marines for free, so he has to be aggressive now, force the Mutalisks to come to him and not get ahead of themselves by just standing on top of the Terran production line, killing those Marines as they come out. And there's nothing down here in the bottom left in the way of defenses just yet. So this Mutalisk force has to be successful in slowing and shutting down the bio, or maybe Light could find a comeback here.
Yeah, there's a bit of a mini game now, which is Light trying not to lose too much bile while looking for a reinforcement. If he tries to go down to bottom left, right now, Queen will have enough to overwhelm that. But if Light gets a reinforce on this central bio, maybe he can push the issue down there in bottom left. He's also getting into a tank follow-up as well. I mean, he's seen the timing on the Queen's Nest, and it's pretty good. I'm not sure that's going to end up working out for him. No reinforcement here for Light, and this is going to get absolutely wiped. There's the result of the little mini game going on here. Queen definitely the victor in that regard.
Oh, absolutely. He was doing a great job of just, gaming Light to his heart's content and pulling the trigger on that. Just as Light was about to send out that reinforcement group, he was jumping on top of the bio in the center. Really well mapped out here from Queen. He was looking for that for a long time. Now Light in a world of hurt. Queen will be transitioning into a normal macro game while also having the opportunity to apply pressure. This was going to be a tank push actually from Light, but that might be falling flat on its face now. He hasn't got a large enough escorting force to bring these tanks to bear in time before that consume might be ready. So Terran in a lot of trouble now. Going to be trying to get all of his tech online and all of his infrastructure set up, but the Defiler Mound is already on the way and he's only just now starting to move out.
We know that Queen is very smart, so no doubt he's going to have some lurkers out here on the map to potentially get those lurker landmines going and at least at the bare minimum slow down the progress of the Marines and tanks coming across the map. He's getting a ton of harassment damage done here in the natural now as Light just cannot really move out. He's waiting for that 3rd tank and a vessel so that he can move out with some confidence that he's not about to get lurker landmined here. 2nd tank is done, and so he's going to move forward to the front, reveal the fact that he's starting to go into this tank push. There's just so much here for Queen, and in fact, even on supply, more SCVs going down, and Light's going to gamble it all on this push. If it doesn't work, he's completely dead in this game. But, I mean, there is still a slight opportunity here as the Defiler's not quite yet ready.
Yeah, I mean, there is a teeny tiny window here. It's going to have about, a minute and also to try and make this work. There is a lot of lurkers that have been made by Queen. He's going to shuffle those back. He's got a few sunkens as well to sandbag this advance and force multiple siege. If you can try and jump onto one of those siege tanks now, see if you can snipe one of them to reduce the DPS output of this force. Unsuccessful in doing so, so Light still has a teeny tiny chance to push down and make this work. Going to go for that tank snipe yet again. Does kill one of those tanks. Oh, he actually unburrowed his lurkers a little bit too quickly. If he had kept one burrowed for a few seconds more, he would have killed another one of those siege tanks. It was just one hit from dying to that subterranean spine. Slight miscalculation from Queen, but he's got so many lurkers down in the bottom that he should be fine. Light still trying to search forward though. Target throwing down those individual lurkers is just not enough punching power to make it work. Queen is moments away from that consume finishing now. Throwing down additional macro. There's the consume just finishing. Defiler comes through the Nidus Canal and shows the bad news to Light that this attack is just about falling flat on its face, and there's no hope for the Terran player to wipe out Queen in this early phase of the late game. And it is what it is, but there's not now much hope for Terran to make a comeback.
Yeah, it is what it is. Light gonna go ahead and double expand. He was close. He was very close to breaking this, but there was way too many lurkers. I mean, it just shows the position that Queen had, that he had that many lurkers to pop through the Nidus at that critical juncture. I mean, the push was pretty good, and Queen did make a mistake there, pulling back the lurkers right before that tank died. Definitely a mistake sieging up in range of the lurkers initially, but it ended up working out okay for Light, and he almost broke that. Still, now things are going to get really scary, and look, we've even got lurkers pushing across the map here. The snipe on the vessel was really painful, by the way. That initial snipe, and look at this. Defiler, Dark Swarm in the natural. Things are just going to get worse from here, Shun.
It's going to get a lot worse. This is almost a checkmate move when you do get the Cheeto Cloud dust inside your bases like this, and he's going to get right on top of that Terran production line. This is the first nail in the coffin. The second nail is when that Dark Swarm is on top of your barracks. Usually, you could sometimes hold this off with Fire Bats under the Dark Swarm with maybe a D-Matrix or something, but there's too many lurkers alive. He's going to go for a counter-attack instead. There's 3 lurkers without a sunken colony finished up here, so he has a chance of breaking through and doing something, but not successful in doing so. Light will tap out, and Zerg will still be winning this week of KCM, despite having a very bumpy road with Sulky going down in game number 1. What an interesting week of KCM. We got to see a lot of great games here. Despite thinking this was going to be a very Zerg dominant week, we actually had a lot of back and forth between all 3 dugouts. Still though, sealing the deal, Queen carrying the torch for his team, saying and putting some points on the board.
Yeah, really nice hold there from Queen. The initial 8 racks got a little unlucky, of course. Light, if there was a close position, he might have been able to do slightly more, but honestly, excellent hold, and the follow-up was great. Light just not quite able to make it work for his team, and yeah, Zerg, another victory on the board. I can't wait to read the comments, guys. Let's jump into our final screen. All right, here it is. Zerg dominant in KCM this season, already at 6 points. Surprising result that Solky got taken out early, but effort really surprised me here today, Shun. I'm very happy with his performance there, and really also very excited to see all those games we had on the new maps, Litmus and Screaming Sea. Definitely showed us some new things. Also, I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but Knockout as well. Very interesting with those minerals on the ramp. Being able to mine those out and kind of negate the gateway first expand for Protoss. We might see a situation where you have to go forge expand on that map just because of the difficulties we revealed here through Efforts Play.
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting stuff, honestly, and inspiring the way he's approaching these maps. I want to see a lot more from him. Like, he's definitely a rocket science in terms of his approach to this game and his cerebral cerebral caliber. I mean, you can see also the trajectory of the Zerg points looking to, escape into that orbit, into the stratosphere, and basically force a fight between Terran and Protoss for which one of them will be relegated to having to play in that semifinals match. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, Zerg is just looking too strong right now. I mean, we got Soma coming back. You've got Effort coming back. I mean, Terra need a new hope. Protoss need to see some kind of inspiration as well. I do feel like a lot of the times it's the Zergs that are innovating and the other two races playing catch up. I think there's a problem right now where there's a bit of stagnation with the tactics and ways of thinking from the Protoss and Terran squads in general across the whole StarCraft scene, where they're not really, showing like new ways of thinking or new approaches. They're just trying to refine what they've already developed. And I feel like that's what's propelling Zerg right now. They've been, evolving new technologies and ways of expressing themselves as a race, and have been doing so with style. And now that we've got Soma and Effort back in the mix, I mean, this is going to get crazy.
Well, I do agree in large part, but you know what? Royal pulling out that game on Litmus, very
That was
cool
good.
one base build. Yeah, that was some
Yeah.
interesting, uh, like new ways of thinking when it comes to the double gas. I've never seen it utilized quite like that before, and of course, we haven't had many situations, many maps in ASL that had the double gas, so it's still kind of a new thing that we are working with. But Royal put that to some amazing use, and I could see that being an ASL strategy. Somebody could pull that out when push comes to shove. I've always enjoyed the early game speed vulture plays. Like if you know that your opponent's going for, a Mutalist or very heavy into Mutalist, and they're kind of lining themselves up for a Mutalist timing, going for that vulture run by right before or right as Mutas are popping out to really slow them down. It usually lays up into a nice Valkyrie build, but I think what Royal did was really innovative and cool.
No, I really do think so. It's a great new expression and take on that one base SK Terran style. The second gas opening up a huge array of options. And let's be honest, Terran is the best one base race in the entire game. What they can do on one base is absolutely otherworldly. So it would be nice to see more interesting, inspirational type plays on that map with optimizing the use of that second gas for plays like that, and really force maybe some better strategic thinking from Zerg. I really do feel like Effort, like you said, needed to get Borrow, if not the Hydra Den early on, something to compensate in Hedge's bets, because the amount of pressure that Terran can bring to you in the early game on that map seems crazy.
Yeah, it really does. So, guys, we're looking forward to casting more amazing games, not only here in the KCM, but in the ASL as well. Check out the link in the description. Come watch us live. It's a transcendent experience. It's such a fun thing to do, to be able to cast ASL live for you guys and just be there in the midst of the action as it's happening, bringing you those live games. So definitely check that out. Thank you all for watching, and everybody who's been supporting recently. We love you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks, guys.